How's it going, everybody out there in YouTube land? Oh, what a day. Good things happened today, though. I mean, aside from, Dolphins stuff, we'll talk about that in a second, but I went and picked up my new hunting arrows today, and I'm super stoked about it. brand new, brand new Hunter XTs. They're really nice. I'm so stoked. Cannot wait to shoot these things, man. I don't know why arrows are so expensive. I have no idea, but got me some brand new hunting arrows. Hopefully, get ready for bear season here. Maybe get me a bear. I don't know. We'll see. That's the hope. I don't know who's going to be in here tonight. I know it's a little late for a live stream, but I figured I wanted to kind of make this a normal thing, getting on once or twice a week and just doing a little live stream. What up, Zonka? How you doing? No, nothing crazy, but getting in here and just talking about some things that have been happening. I think just gonna make that kind of a normal thing. Live streaming's kind of fun because I get to interact with the people who are in here. Makes it kind of fun. Uh, we got some weird things going on, and Curtis over at Ace Per Head kind of mentioned it today in a video, and we've kind of talked about it a few times in some live streams we've done together, and I'm starting to see more and more people start to mention it, and it's getting kind of weird, and we'll talk about all that in a second too, and wanted to mention something that Chris Greer did that was weird with one of the people on the team, one of the players, kind of just some stuff that makes me think that he's not going to be around much longer. And whether that's because he's going to get fired, or he thinks he's going to get fired, or if he thinks he's going to wind up taking another position with the Dolphins, we'll see. I hope he's not taking another position with Miami, but you never know. It very well could be that, and that would make sense. There was a couple other things too. We got something to talk about with cap space too. Um, and a little bit of talk about Teron Armstead and Calais Campbell and kind of what I think is going to happen there. And all this stuff is going to kind of tie in together. I'm not sure what's going to happen, but things that have been developing and going on aren't necessarily bad. It just makes me think that a change is coming, something big, and it, I think that's a good thing. So we will see. Oh man, yeah, I just got my bow tuned up too. I'm ready to go, man. I want to get some. I want to get a bear, and I want to get a moose this fall. I want to get some meat in the freezer. I don't know how many people know, but like up here, uh, you know, we still eat hamburger meat, moose or cow. Buy it from the store sometimes, but as much as possible, my family and a lot of people, a lot of other Alaskans too. I'm not like the only one, but a lot of us, we live on moose. It's a much better tasting substitute for cow. Uh, you cook it the same kind of way, it's just good. It doesn't taste like deer or anything like that. It doesn't have a super gamey taste. It's just real rich and it's delicious. Like if you've had a moose burger or a bison burger or a buffalo burger, it's kind of like buffalo or bison. It's just really, really good meat. And so we live on that, between hunting and salvage. Like, if someone hits, we're on a list with the Department of Transportation and the Fish and Game and the troopers. So if somebody hits a moose with their car or something like that, you're not allowed to just take the meat. You have to call the troopers, and then there's a list of people who are qualified to come harvest the moose, take it off the street, and you can have whatever meat you get off of it. Well, I mean, it sounds kind of weird, but it's pretty normal up here, and get really excited when I get a moose call from the troopers. The only bummer is when they call, it could be any time of day, and they just say, "Hey, we got a moose harvest. We got a moose that got hit by a car. Do you want it?" And you have 10 minutes to answer them. So you can say, "Let me call you right back," or you can answer them immediately. But they can't give you any more information than that. You can't be like, "Oh, is what size is it? Is it big enough, or is the moose totally blown up, or is it worth harvesting?" None of that. They won't answer. All you have to say is yes or no. If you say yes, they tell you where it is. You go out there, you get it. That's it. So it's free meat. Takes some work to get it off the bone and you know get it all prepared and frozen and separated into different cuts and whatever else. Turn it into hamburger meat, whatever you got to do. But man, it's so worth it. And like I said, if you've never had moose, oh, it's so good, so good. All right, I'm tired of talking like a stupid Alaskan. I guess I'll get on with it. um, so something weird happened, and it revolves around Zach Wilson. Now everybody knows about the conversation, the interview with Zach Wilson, and all of that. I'm not talking about that necessarily, although I do think that he has the proper attitude. As a backup quarterback, he wants to be a starter. I think that's a good attitude to have. So good on him for that. But Zach Wilson signed a $6 million 1-year contract with Miami. And we all know that. But what just happened recently that's not what a lot of people know is that Chris Greer goes in and he allocates $2.3 million of that $6 million for Zach Wilson out of the cap hit, because it's a $6 million cap hit guaranteed. He allocated $2.3 million of it for this year, which essentially it saves us $3.7 million on our salary cap. But he's got a 1-year contract. Zach Wilson does. So it's weird that Chris Greer would put $3.7 million on the following year in 2026 when he's not going to be a member of the team. I don't understand that. What's his logic? This kind of makes me think something weird's happening, right? But with that move, that means that we're sitting at about $21 million in cap space right now. We have $21 million to work with. And that's actually not bad. I'm pretty impressed with that. That's a good thing. It helps, But what I don't understand is why we only put down 2.3 million of that $6 million on this year's cap. He's not getting that money this year. That's all he's getting. So I don't know. Obviously, this is something that Zach Wilson has agreed to. But I don't understand. I don't understand why. Why did he do this? That puts $3.7 million on next year for our salary cap from Zach Wilson in a year that he's not going to be a part of the team. Now, he very well could be extended or given another contract if he does well this year or gives us a reason to want to keep him. But my first thought is Zach Wilson wants to be a starter. I wouldn't imagine he wants to be here much longer than a year, because if it's not going to work out, and if he does manage to play a few games, and if he does well, he's going to want to go somewhere where he has a chance to start. So it's making my brain hurt. I don't really understand why. I mean, I'm happy that we're only putting 2.3 down this year on salary cap for Zach Wilson, but I don't understand what the reasoning is for pushing 3.7 million of it back a year when he's only got a 1-year contract. If anybody's watching this and has an idea of why he's doing this, explain it to me. But you pair that with, and I've been talking about this for a while, and so is Curtis and a few other guys. But it's just starting to get traction, finally, after a few weeks of this. The Miami Dolphins are being extremely frugal, right? They're not giving a bunch of extensions to everybody. They're not kicking a bunch of money down the road. They're being pretty smart with money this year. And they kind of have to. So that shouldn't be a shocker to anybody. But the shocking part is that we're sitting here and it doesn't seem like there's a reason for... It's okay. If Chris Grier is on the hot seat, like everybody really thinks he is, I mean, I think he is too. If Chris Grier is on this hot seat, you'd think he'd be a little more willing to spend money, especially when you have an owner like Stephen Ross, who is notorious for opening up that pocketbook and spilling money all over the place, making it rain. If he's willing to do that all the time, and every year he has been, Stephen Ross has done that every year up to now, and now all of a sudden, it's not happening and we're being extremely frugal, this tells me that Stephen Ross has put some kind of hold on Chris Grier. Something along the lines of, I'm not giving you a bunch of money this year. You need to fix this. You need to do it right. I don't care how you do it. You're just not getting a bunch of money from me. I'm not going to do a bunch of bonuses. I'm not going to pay a bunch of money. This is weird. And like I said, I have mentioned this before, so this shouldn't be a shock to anybody who watches my videos. But what's going on? Strange things are afoot in Miami. It makes me think that Chris Grier is not only on his way out the door, but he knows it. And the way this is happening, I think that Stephen Ross has definitely got to be doing something here. I mean, I think he's just put his foot down and said, I'm not spending a bunch of money this year. Make it work. And if you don't, you're out. So I'm not denying that Chris Grier isn't... I'm not saying Chris Grier isn't making effort, because I really do think he is. I think he's trying very hard to make this work and pan out. But he's doing it in a way that he's never done it before. And I don't even know if it's working. I can't say that I know, because we haven't had a season yet with this. But this is the first time where Chris Grier hasn't spent a bunch of money, or hasn't tried to do a bunch of extensions and contracts and kick a bunch of money down the road to years down the way. It's not happening this year. It just makes me wonder what's going on. I mean, don't you guys wonder too? This has got to be strange for a lot more than just me. I gotta say, I would like to see him gone. I really would. But, I mean, who knows? But also, something that we could think about here too is seeing $21 million, and one of the reasons, what could the reason be for kicking $3.7 million of Zach Wilson's money down the road? It's just 3.7. It's not like a lot of money. But this is the one instance where Chris Grier did kick a little bit of money down the road to the next year. One instance of it. And it's on guaranteed money. So he had to have had Zach Wilson agree to this. But what does it matter to Zach Wilson? You know, he's got a decent amount of money. He knows he's going to get the money no matter what. You can give it to me next year. Who cares? I'll take 2.3 right now. But if he's doing that, there's got to be a reason. So the reason, I think, and this is just a thought in my head, this makes me think that Teron Armstead and or Calais Campbell are coming back, and Chris Grier knows it. Going from just over 17 million to 21 million with this move, this tells me that there's a reason for it, because otherwise it just doesn't make much sense to be scrounging that much money together when you already have 17 in the bank. There's got to be a reason for it. Now, this could be revitalizing the contract for Teron Armstead. Say he decided he wanted to play. Well, they have to increase his pay from the league minimum. He's worth that. You know, Calais Campbell. This could be a situation where Calais Campbell has been offered probably around $10 million to play this year coming up. He took almost the league minimum last year, and the way he played, he deserves more than that, and I think everybody knows it. I think this is a situation where probably Calais Campbell and Teron Armstead are coming back. And if that's the case, this would all fall in line with the timeline of right after the draft, we're probably going to find out one way or the other if Teron Armstead and Calais Campbell are coming back. But if they do, you would need about $21 million to sign them both for a year. It's crazy. I don't know if it's going to happen or not, but that's kind of what makes me think is happening. That's the only reason I could think of why they would do that with Zach Wilson's contract. Just that little amount, it makes me think that they're trying to get the contracts going for those two guys. Because there's nothing else happening in free agency. The Dolphins haven't had a meeting with anybody other than going to pro days for college. Makes me wonder, what is going on? I need a sip of my drinky drink. Don't worry, it's not alcohol. I've been sober for like 20 years. So, but, what a crazy thought. I tell you what, if Calais Campbell and Teron Armstead come back, I'm instantly 15% more encouraged. Instantly. Especially on defense. And I know that Teron Armstead or Calais Campbell is not going to be playing, 100 snaps or whatever. I know he's not going to be playing every snap. I know that's not going to happen, even if he comes back. Realistically, you're looking at a 30 or 35 snaps per game. But just having that leadership and that kind of a mentality on the team from a man like him would be incredible. I still cannot think. I've been racking my brain for a day and a half. I found out about this yesterday. This whole kicking just over half of Zach Wilson's contract down the road to next year when he's not going to be a part of the team. I found out about it, and instantly my brain started thinking, like, what is the reasoning for this? And with everything else going on, this makes me think that Chris Greer's hands are tied. He can't do what he's always done with Stephen Ross and just say, hey, Daddy Ross, open up that bank book, please. We gotta give some signing bonuses out. He can't do that. But he knows that this is his last chance. And he's got to do something. So he's pulling out all the stops as much as he can. And I think that he knows, just as well as most of us know, that you're really going to need Calais and Teron back another year. We could sure use them. Oh, man. What a relief that would be. I cannot wait to find out what's happening. Something is going to come from this. Mark my words. I guarantee you something is going to come from this. I just don't know what. I know we've got a good draft situation coming up. I know it's a good situation. And I know that we're likely going to have a lot of offers to trade down. I know all that's going to be happening. It's going to be good for us. But I wish I knew what was going on with all this other stuff. I think Chris Greer's on his way out the door. I think this is his last year as our GM. I do not think this is Mike McDaniel's last year. I know other people think other things, and that's totally fine. Like we can disagree on stuff. It's all good. But as of right now, from where I'm standing, all the way up here in North Pole, Alaska. I'm thinking next year Chris Greer will not be our general manager, and Mike McDaniel will still be our head coach. $3.7 million kicked to 2026 for Zach Wilson's contract. Somebody please explain this to me. We had the money to cover it. There's no free agent that we were trying to sign other than the expressed interest in Calais Campbell and Teron Armstead coming back. $21 million would cover Calais Campbell and Teron Armstead. Probably almost exactly. I would say Calais Campbell is going to want $8 to $10 million to come back, for sure. And Teron Armstead probably wants $11 million to come back too. It's just crazy to me. So don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if we find out that Teron Armstead and Calais Campbell are coming back. If you watched the Dive Bar episode that they did with Teron Armstead like a week or two ago, that pretty much told me that he wants to come back. Teron Armstead does. I think for sure he does. I don't know if Calais is coming back. I know he wants to. I know he likes it here. I know he likes it in Miami. I know he likes the situation, the coaches. He gets along fantastically with Weave. Man, I wish I knew what was going on. I need to move to Miami. Somebody buy me a plane ticket. I need to be there, find out what's up with all of this. It's hard to find out. It's hard to keep the pulse when you're this far away. Oh well. So if anybody's got any information on any of that, or tell me what you guys think about that whole situation. There's got to be something there. I do think this is the end of Chris Greer this year, no matter what. I don't care. I don't care if he has the best season ever for Miami. I don't think Chris Greer is coming back, and it's likely, in my opinion, I don't think he's going to get fired from Miami. I think they're going to move him to a different position, an executive job. So yeah, not really going to be a fired from Miami situation, but Chris Greer will not be our general manager. I just don't see it. Do they frequent Tampa? I mean, that's a decent ways away, isn't it? Man, yeah, and I know that Greer and McDaniel have been traveling a lot, going to all these pro days and stuff, and Weaver was going around a bit too. So they're busy. They're getting ready for the draft, and they haven't really been paying attention, as far as I can tell, to free agency. But I do think they're paying attention to Calais and Teron. Man, I would love to hear that news. Teron Armstead and Calais Campbell coming back to the Miami Dolphins. $21 million total. That would be amazing. That would make me feel better because my spidey senses are tingling right now. Like something's happening. But we'll see. I don't know. Just interesting thoughts. Interesting little tidbit. Oh, nice. Spring training. Yeah, baseball starts today too. I'm a Diamondbacks fan. I'm from Arizona originally. So Diamondbacks and Phoenix Suns are my basketball and baseball team. And yeah, the Diamondbacks play the Cubs tonight. That's their first game. It starts here in an hour or two. An hour. So I'm going to end up watching that. Cannot wait. I love me some baseball. Next to football, baseball is my other favorite sport. I love baseball. I don't even have to be watching my team. I'll just sit there and watch baseball. It doesn't matter to me. It's just like football. If it's on, I'm watching it. Used to play some baseball, played some football. Never really played basketball. I was a little too big for that. Didn't really like all the running, but yeah, it's this is interesting. I'm very very confused about what's happening, and I just want to know. Um, I put a poll on my channel here. If you guys go to the community section and look at the posts I made, there's a poll about the draft. If anybody sees this, go on there and put your vote for what you would do with that 13th pick. I'm not sure what's happening with the draft either. There's too many options, and like I said, um, mock drafts and things like that are just it's hit or miss. You're never really gonna know what's gonna happen. There's just too many variables, too many different teams looking for different things, too many trade offers, just too much stuff happening to be able to really put a pin on what the Dolphins are gonna do. We know the needs we have. I made that last pod talk I did. That covered, the needs that we had. And they're simple. It's only really four things: safety, cornerback, defensive line, offensive line. And that's it. That's what we need. And that should be the focus of the entire draft. Not running back, not quarterback, not wide receiver, not linebacker, none of that. Someone was trying to convince me today that we should take Gianti at 13. I'm sorry. I am not disrespecting Gianti in any way. That kid can run. He is a beast. Could be one of the best players out of this draft. Could be. Not arguing that. But I don't think that's something we should use our 13th pick on. If the player that they don't want, what's up? If the player that we don't want is isn't available, if the player we want isn't available at 13, we really need to listen to those trade offers, because there's going to be trade offers. There's going to be offers for that pick, especially if somebody drops. One of the higher ranked players drops. It's somebody that we don't necessarily need. Like, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but someone like a Shedeur Sanders. Those players, if they still end up being around, or Gianti, if those players end up being around at 13, there's going to be offers. Someone's going to want that pick. And that might be a situation where we could really load up on third and fourth round picks. And there is a lot of good players in the third and fourth round, especially for us. I've made some videos about it. Other people are talking about it. Everybody's talking about the things that the players that are available, and the guys who really dig deep into the draft. They've all mentioned it too. Trading back in that 50 to 110 range, that's gold mine range right there. There is so much in the draft, especially in the positions that we need desperately. I don't think this is the draft where we can just go straight up BPA. I don't think we can do that this year. It's too much. We have very specific holes in this offense and this defense, largely revolving around our offense and defensive line. We would be fools to pass up on players to plug those holes just to go BPA for Ashton Gianti, or grab Shedeur Sanders if he falls, which he might, he could. I don't know. Like I said, too early to tell. And likely none of us will know until we get to about the 10th pick, and if he's still there. So it's just one of those things where we really could be in an interesting situation, and we could wind up with 3 third-round picks and 3 fourth-round picks. And instead of the 13th pick, we could wind up in the first round. We could wind up with the 27th or 28th first-round pick. Very easily. I would drop 10 spots in this first round to pick up a third and a fourth, or a second and a fourth, or a second and a fifth, or 2 thirds and a fourth. I mean, there's going to be some offers. I'm really thinking the best thing we could possibly hope for, ideal situation, would be to trade down if we have the opportunity. I mean, we can't just be like, we're going to trade down. We'll drop this pick for the 28th pick. It doesn't work that way. That someone has to want that to happen. And like I said, those calls are going to happen on draft day as it leads up to our pick. There's going to be calls right as we're on the clock. I'm sure of it. Anybody who's ever watched the draft, you watch those draft rooms, it's absolutely insane. It's like a war zone. People are running around, handing papers off on their phones. Like, it's nuts. But man, if we had an opportunity to trade back to the 20-something pick and pick up a couple extra picks between the 3rd and 5th, oh, I'd be all over it. If I was them. But I'm not. I'm not them. I'm just a dumb Alaskan that right now has bear and moose on the brain. I keep looking over to my left, looking at my bow and those brand new arrows I just got made, and I want to hunt, but just as bad as I want to do that, I want to watch this draft. And I also feel like as soon as that draft happens, we're going to have a lot of things start falling into place pretty quickly thereafter. It's going to be nuts those 3 or 4 days after the draft. I still think that's exactly when we're going to find out about Calais and Tehran. No, not. Oh, my dogs are going crazy. Not polar bears. We're not allowed to hunt those. You have to be a native Alaskan, an Indian, to basically to hunt polar bear. For the bear hunt, I'm thinking of is black bear and moose. So, but you know, it doesn't matter what kind of bear it is. If you're hunting with a bow and you're hunting for bear, it's scary. It's fun, but scary. Man, what do you guys think's going to happen there? What do you guys think's going to happen with the 13th pick? I've seen them. I used to work in Prudhoe Bay. That's far north part of Alaska. And when you're working up there on the pipeline, you get some pretty close encounters. They have bear watch, so your crews that are working on the pipeline and stuff, there'll be one person selected every day to be bear watch, and all you do is sit and look for bears, because they can just sneak up on you. It's all white out there, and you can't see very far a lot of times. Wind is blowing, snow's blowing, and you'll have a bear that can just sneak right up on you. And you'll have the guy on bear watch, and if he blows that horn, everybody has to run and jump on the buses and the vehicles immediately. And they'll call somebody to come out and dispatch the bear, chase him off, whatever. Yeah, I've been close to him a couple times. Like within probably 30, 40 yards once or twice. One time I can really think of where I was standing on a helicopter pad and it was close, maybe 20 yards away. And those things are gigantic. 20 yards away and I almost peed myself. Polar bears are scary. Yeah, you can bait for bear up here in Alaska. That's usually the way to do it. I got a nice tree stand, and yeah, that's usually the way people do it. They bear bait. Sit in a tree stand and shoot them. That's usually the safest way. Of course, bear can climb trees, so you got to be a really good shot. And you don't go bear hunting with a bow unless you have a gun with you too. So, got to be sure. I never hunted for cougar before. That'd be cool. I'd love to do something like that. Big cats. Yeah, man, that'd be fun. So, we've got safety, cornerback, defensive line, interior defensive line, and interior offensive line. What do we do? Assuming we don't trade back. What do we do? The more I think about it, the more I think that we probably, this up to that point, whatever the best player is out of those four positions, we need to take him. We can't be wasting our time on a running back, a quarterback, a wide receiver, just because they're, you know, ranked high in the draft and they fell a little bit. That's why I don't think 100% BPA is the best thing to do right now. Oh, I'll have to be checking it out. I like looking at everybody's mock drafts. I mean, like I said, everybody knows how I feel about them. You can't nail it. You're not gonna. Nobody's gonna have a mock draft that's perfect. It's never gonna work out that way. But it's always fun to watch, and it's always fun to do them. I do a few of them every night just for funsies. It's a good time. You got to do it. And you know, Big C, I've been watching your streams every morning because it works out perfectly with me. Well, I'm not watching. I'm listening because I drive truck, and I'm working early in the morning. So 8 o'clock a.m. or so, 8 o'clock a.m. over in the East Coast is 4 a.m. my time, and I start work. I get up at 4 o'clock for work, so I'm up around that time usually, watching you guys everybody else's videos and listening to them all day. So I usually stay up on the pulse for everybody. There was something that happened yesterday with Chris Perkins. He said something that just totally threw me off. Zonka, were you there watching that with me? That live stream with Perkins and Alan Poupart? Was that you? Oh, dude, you don't even have to say you appreciate it. Don't even worry about that. It's entertainment. It's a good program. I like watching you. Zonka, were you there watching that video with me on the live stream between Poupart and Chris Perkins? What did he say that just totally threw me off? I said something in the chat and I was like, did he just say what I think he said? And you were like, yeah, he did. What did he say? I just thought it was so incredibly stupid. And then I was like, well, of course it would be Perkins that said that. I can't remember what it was. Dang. That's going to bug me. Oh, that's right. Yeah. He said he wanted a running back instead of a guard. Oh, that blew me up. Oh, that's right. Yeah, he was saying how, well, just give me the one running back instead of getting two guards. That would solve our problems. Oh my goodness. I was yelling at my phone. I was like, you've got to be freaking joking me. What kind of moron thinks that way? And then I'm thinking, oh yeah, Perkins. Like you think that's going to be a better solution to get a running back instead of getting two decent guards? You got to be kidding me. I thought that was so incredibly stupid and short-sighted. Okay, your running back might be able to do something even with a bad offensive line, but what is that going to do to help our passing game? What is that going to do for Tua scrambling around running for his life after 1 second of pass protection and the pocket collapses? What is that going to do when Liam Eichenberg lets his feet fall out from underneath him and lays down on a guy and gives up a sack? What is that going to do? What is that running back going to do for that? Oh, I was so mad. Oh, jeez. Just thinking about it again is getting me all worked up. Yeah, that's the stuff. That's the stuff right there. And people are thinking that they're smart, thinking that they have an idea of what would help this team. That is not it. That is not it. Even Poupart, Alan Poupart looked at him like, dude. and usually Poupart will, I got a lot of respect for Alan Poupart because usually if he doesn't agree with something, he'll say something. But this time I think he was so shocked by what Perkins said that he was like, okay. And that was it. He just let it go. And then they got off the air a couple minutes later. But, man, yeah, I would have loved for Poupart to kind of straighten that out because if you have people that are so close to Miami and the football team, like Perkins and Poupart are, if you have somebody like Perkins saying something like that, that worries me. Because if he says something like that, man, I really hope that there aren't people in that front office. There aren't executives saying the same thing. What are you talking about, Jeremy? I can't do the 250 pound thing anymore, man. My doctor said I need to be 260. That's the goal. Um, Now that I've quit smoking, for those of you that don't know, I quit smoking cigarettes. Um, Let me check. Let me check and make sure my number is right. 80 days and 18 hours ago was my last cigarette. And in those 80 days, I've put on a decent amount of weight. And I have to diet now. I'm doing a doctor got me going on a intermittent fasting with my gym workouts. And so I'm on the way back down to get to that 260 pound mark. I'm a big guy, so 260 pounds is where I'm supposed to be. That would leave me a little plus sized, but that's where I got to be. So I'm working, and Jeremy's a friend on my Facebook and stuff, so he sees me talking about having to lose weight and stuff. Yeah, I need a bigger chute. That's what it is. I went skydiving one time in my youth. And I will never go again, ever. I'll tell you why. It's a secret, but if I tell it on here, it ain't gonna be a secret anymore. I It was my first jump. It was a tandem jump, so I wasn't by myself. Um, I was tandemed up to a professional, and my first jump. It was in Arizona, and it was terrifying. Um, the first time I jumped out of that when I jumped out of that plane, it was maybe 5 seconds after I went out the plane door. I had released fecal matter. Like I said, that was too much for me. I will never ever even consider jumping out of a perfectly good airplane ever again. That scarred me for life. Planes make me nervous, and just thinking about jumping out of another plane ever again just terrifies me. I'll never do it again. What's up? What's up? People are jumping on here, and I'm sitting here talking about pooping myself while I was skydiving. My goodness, what am I doing? Yeah. So yeah, the whole Perkins thing just drove me absolutely nuts. It just drove me. I could not believe he said that. Does anybody here actually think that drafting a running back would be a better deal than drafting guards? Like, it wasn't well, let's take a running back in the first round. It was I'd rather have a running back and no guards added to the team. Like, what in the world? If people are saying that, that makes me worry that some people in the front office of Miami are saying the same thing, and it terrifies me. Because I guarantee you, if we try that, if we try the give me a running back instead of two guards to help the running game, if we try that, that's failure instantly. We are going to fail. I would rather have an improved offensive line that doesn't need a future Hall of Fame running back to make a difference. Plus, the running game is only half of football. Well, really, it's only a quarter of football. You have offensive passing, and you have offensive running, and you have defensive passing and defensive running. Getting a running back solves one of those issues, barely, maybe without guards. Absolutely, guard and safety is two of the biggest needs. I would say guard, safety, interior defensive line, and cornerback shortly following that too. Because we do need one more cornerback, but out of those four, cornerback I think is our least needed at the moment. But definitely things that we need. So it's super simple, and I think doing anything other than those four with that first pick, other than trading down, is stupid. It's a waste of time, and that'll be the beginning of the downfall. A lot of people think that this year is not going to be successful. They're thinking, 6-11, whatever, 6-11, 7-10, 8-9. They're thinking things like that. if we can address a couple of these issues in the draft, like I thought, and also Matt Scherf is still available in free agency. I'm just saying. We have $21 million right now in cap space. Matt Scherf would be a great addition to this team. He's a scheme fit too. And that's what I was saying in my last live stream, buddy. I said that Storm Duck needs to step up, and like I said, I love Storm Duck. I'm gonna admit it right now. He's one of my favorite undrafted free agents that I've ever had, or undrafted players ever. I love him. I think that he's got nothing but upside. He played decent last year for his first year, and I think it's going to get even better. Yes. Yeah, if you got a running back that can step over Liam Eichenberg's legs as he's falling down, yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, Storm Duck could do. I think Storm Duck has a much better chance of stepping up, and I guarantee you Storm Duck is going to improve massively this offseason. He's been working hard. He never stops working. The dude is a first in, first out player. He's got a drive on him. And I don't see him getting any worse. I don't see a sophomore slump for Storm Duck. I see nothing but improvement in his future, especially if he keeps on track with what he's been doing. Like I said, I will go to bat for Storm Duck. I'm going to get his jersey is on the way. I'm telling you, I love Storm Duck. He's got an awesome name too, so as far as Cam Smith goes, this is like, what is this? His third year of absolute crap. If he doesn't step up this year or have some kind of a massive breakthrough, let him go. He's such a waste of time. I really want to see him improve. I mean, second round pick, like he should be way better than what he is. You'd think he would have had a breakthrough, especially after all the blaming everything on everybody else. And, Fangio held me back, and I didn't have a chance this year. That was his thing this year. I didn't have a chance. And it's like, well, of course you didn't have a chance. You got hurt in preseason. You got hurt a few weeks later. It's like you can't get out of your own way. You can't stay healthy. Like, your first step is always wrong. He's a cornerback, and his first step is always wrong. Like you'd think that if you just guessed and took a step one direction or the other, that it would be right half the time. But no, he's wrong all the time. Cam Smith needs to step up, yeah, definitely. If he doesn't, I know Storm Duck is going to step up to the bat a little bit this year. I think he's going to do even better. I think he did serviceable last year too, especially for an undrafted rookie. I think he did really well. I can't wait to see the improvement that he does this year for Storm Duck, but Storm Duck definitely has a better chance than Cam Smith, that's for sure. But even if he does step up, we do need another cornerback. It doesn't necessarily need to be a high-round draft pick. It could be, 5th, 6th, maybe 4th round, second pick in the 4th round. Something like that. I'd be okay with that, but the focus really needs to be on our line, defense and offense. I said that, years ago, before I even was doing this. This is my first year. I'm almost to a year. Preseason will be a year doing my channel. But I've been saying this for way before that. We really need to stop with this crappy offensive line stuff. I'd settle for mediocre. And that would be an improvement. So, yeah, we'll see. I don't know where it's going to go, where this is going to wind up. But, man, if we don't focus, at least get 3 or 4 offense and defensive linemen, if we don't do that, we're going to be hurting. We need to continue this youth movement that Miami has been doing. And the best way to continue the youth movement is to go even more youthful than we have in free agency. And we've gone pretty youthful in free agency. We just need to continue that. We need to keep that going. Man, I know, Jeremy. I know. I need to make a trip down to Miami. Maybe once I get this subscription count up to 500, I can start taking some super chats, and maybe I can get enough money to do it. But I'm not doing this for money, so I'm just doing it because it's fun. I like talking about Miami, and I really like the people that I've met. I've had a good time conversing with people, and that's kind of why I'm starting to enjoy the live stream aspect of this even more and more, and I've been doing it more. Um, I'll still do my videos, my normal, videos that aren't live, but I'm really enjoying just the conversing and talking with people, and yeah, it's definitely not about making money. I just like talking Miami. I happen to know a little bit about football. I like to share it. I'm not always right, that's for sure, but I'm right more than Perkins is. Oh my goodness. We don't need to draft a running back in the first round. We don't need to draft a quarterback. We don't need to draft a wide receiver. We don't need to draft a linebacker. We don't need to do any of that in the first round. If we do any of that in the first or second round, it's a waste. It's that simple. I don't care if you're a Miami Sun Sentinel columnist who gets to interview all the players and the coaches every day. I don't care. If that's what you think, you're wrong. What do you guys think the record's going to be this year? Just out of curiosity. It's an early guess. But let's say we finish with a top 15 offensive line. Let's just say that. Let's add that caveat. Top 15 offensive line. So middle of the road. Middle tier offensive line. Which would be a massive improvement over our offensive line. Say that happens. When we look at our record at the end of the year, what do you guys think that record is? I'd be willing to bet that our record would be better than 8-9 if we had a top 15 offensive line. I'd be willing to bet that. Furthermore, I would say if Tua can stay healthy and play 17 games, if Tua does that and we have a top 15 offensive line, I would say 11-6. A playoff berth. I'm not sure about a playoff win. I guess we'd have to see on that. But if those two things happen this year, remind me at the end of the season. Remind me what I said here. 11-6 at worst. A lot of the games we played were very close. And if we had an offensive line that could hold a block for longer than 1.74 seconds, we'd have a much higher success rate. We've already done a lot to address our goal line and short yardage situations. A lot. Look at the picks. Look at the free agency acquisitions that we've made. Aside from bolstering our offensive line a little more, yeah, 10 games that's a fair estimate, yeah. But aside from that offensive line needing to be bolstered more, we've added a short yardage running back. Nothing special, nothing crazy, but it'll get you 2 yards. We've added a fantastic blocking wide receiver in Westbrook-Akine. He is a fantastic blocker. He's a good receiver too, I'm not saying that, but as far as blocking goes, he's fantastic. We've added Pharaoh Brown, a tight end who specializes in decimative blocking. That man will straight up ruin people. So we've added these players that give us the ability to have some big sets, some goal line situation plays, some short yardage plays that would actually be functional, and we'd have more options than just short passing on them or handing it off to Devon Achane. No smack talk against Devon Achane, but he is not a short yardage running back. we need some peanut butter to his jelly. It needs to happen. We have addressed that. And I think that our red zone, our goal line, and our short yardage situations are going to be night and day different from last year. Last year we were near the bottom of the league in those situations. I think it's going to be much better this year. And that's going to help us win games. So we just need to get that offensive line to a middle of the road offensive line. Not even great, just middle of the road. I'm telling you, if we do that, we're looking at 11 wins. Easy. I'm ready for the season to start, boys. I'm ready for it to happen. I want to see all of this start to form. I want to see how this works out. We got a ways to go. We got a few months still, but it's a good start. I think that we should here comes that word that I always say. I think we should be hopeful. I think we have reason to be, not just the irrational hopium hopeful, but cautiously and educatedly hopeful. Things that are happening are making sense, and we're doing the right things. So, yeah. And like I said, reducing the wide receiver screens, running the ball, and having an offensive line that can protect for more than 1.5 seconds, that'll reduce the screen plays immediately, because the screen plays are nothing but mitigation for the fact that we cannot hold blocks for long enough for plays to develop. We can't run block. We couldn't. And because of that, the screens and the short passes behind the line of scrimmage, that was kind of what we did to replace our run plays. It just wasn't any good. So that's what needs to happen. Guys, thanks for hanging out with me and giving me some giggles. I appreciate it. Hopefully you guys had a good time. I got to get out of here because I got to go watch the Diamondbacks baseball game. It's opening day. Got to check that out. And thanks for watching. Make sure you guys give a like. And if you haven't subscribed, if anybody's watching who hasn't, make sure to throw that down too. Fins up. Stay hopeful, everybody, if you can.